All right, so it is Wednesday the 6th of April 2022 and I am about to embark on by far the most ambitious backpacking trip I've ever been on. So entirely for my own pleasure and future probably pain as well, I wanted to do a loadout video just to document what I'm taking on this trip, so that hopefully as I do other trips in future years I can sort of look back at this and both smile and cringe at how badly wrong I got it. I've put a lot of thought into what I'm taking over the last couple of months. It's by no means perfect, I'm sure, but I'm reasonably happy with it. I will pack it all into my sack and weigh the rucksack at the end of the video so you can see what it's going to weigh. But let's run through what I'm taking. So we're doing basically a 7-day, 6-night backpacking tour of the Isle of Jura in southwest Scotland. Which is the least densely populated place in Europe, believe it or not. A population of less than 200 people on the island of Jura, which is 35 miles long and about 10 miles wide. All the people live in the bottom right-hand corner where the whisky distillery is, and the rest of the island has no roads, no footpaths, no buildings, more or less anyway. And the west coast in particular is particularly rugged and deserted. It's a wildlife paradise, and we're looking to hopefully have a really good time. So I've got 7 days food, although I'll only hopefully be needing 6 days of it, so I've got 1 day as a sort of emergency ration in case of emergencies. But essentially I'm going to be having porridge for breakfast. So here I've got a bag of porridge oats, which are mixed with in there ground coconut and non-dairy creamer and some ground walnuts as well. So and some brown sugar, granulated brown sugar. So that's enough porridge, I think, for 7 meals. And to supplement the porridge, I've got some little bags. So these are dried strawberries that are chopped, and this is dried ground banana chips. And this is cocoa powder, so I can have sort of mix and match with my porridge in the morning, and I think that should get me going reasonably well. That should be enough for 7 large portions. The porridge. My lunches are going to be pizza bread. So I'm allowed 3 pizzas for each day. I think I'm probably only going to want 2 for lunch, but I kind of like the idea of having a third one to maybe snack on at some point during the day. On the pizza bread is going to be mainly peanut butter. I've got a squeezy tube of peanut butter here, kindly supplied by my friend Andy. And I've also got some little catering packs of Marmite that I'll be taking as well. I haven't actually got those out here to show you, but combination of Marmite and or peanut butter on my pizza breads is going to be my lunch. Then I've also got for dinners then dehydrated pastas, basically. So I've bought myself a food dehydrator at Christmas, and these are different sort of recipes of macaroni with pasta sauce, chopped vegetables, with some slightly different flavours. So some of these are barbecue, some of them are more sort of spicy chili. So I've got 7 portions of this, about 220 grams per portion. Actually, I've got 6 portions of that, and I've got 1 portion of a dehydrated lentil curry to sort of mix it up a bit. But yeah, essentially those are my dinners. And in addition for dinner, in fact I probably should have said this first, I've got 7 cup of soups. So I'll be having a cup of soup kind of as a starter for my dinner. And crumbled into the cup of soup, I've got a packet of crackers. Basically, these are salted crackers, so I'll be sort of crumbling a few of those into the soup to give it a bit more body, and I can also maybe snack on those along the way. In addition to that, the other snacks I've got are going to take in 2 of these packs of little trail mix that I've come to quite like. This one I've actually already chopped some plain chocolate chips into, and I'll do the same to the other pack as well, because it's nice to have a bit of plain chocolate mixed in. I've also then got a small packet here of 1 or 2 energy gels and some vegan chocolate bars. So that's my snacks. And the final food item to show you is this, which is lemon cali. Apparently, it's basically lemon powder. It sort of mixes into water and makes kind of a sports drink kind of thing. Quite sweet, but hopefully it will, makes the water I'll be drinking during the day a bit more interesting. I should also say that I have a bottle, not of Iron Brew, but this is 500 mils of Drambuie that I've just put in the Iron Brew bottle because I thought it'd be funny to take that to Scotland. Yeah, and it will just give us something to have a little sort of a nip by the fire in the evening. Obviously, can't carry any beer, unfortunately. Here is my coffee cup. In here, I've got instant coffee and also powdered non-dairy creamer. So that's plenty enough for a week's coffee. In terms of cutlery, just a plastic spoon and a fork. I was using a spork, but I decided that a spork is completely useless for anything. You know, it's not very good as a spoon or a fork or a knife. So I've actually got a proper fit-for-purpose knife and spoon. I think that will serve me much better. In terms of cooking equipment, then here's my Tokes 800ml titanium pot. I'm taking this little spirit burner, I should say alcohol stove, whatever you want to call it, yeah, that will be filled, so that's 500ml of basically bioethanol, and I've got another 250, so basically 750 millilitres of fuel, which is going to be plenty for my purposes for 7 days. I should say, obviously, because I've got dehydrated food, I'm not actually really cooking anything, I'm just rehydrating. So all I'll be doing is just boiling water with the food in, and it's ready to go. So it's not going to be very long cooking processes, even though the stove is rather slow. I've got a foil shield in there to keep the wind off when I'm cooking out in the open, and that all packs down nicely together in there and back into its little pop koozie. So that's that. This is my scoop for my porridge. So it's a kind of just a aerosol lid, but it's the right size. So I know that a scoop and a half of that is as much porridge as I need for a serving, with 2 scoops of water, or just over 2 scoops of water. We'll get that going in the morning. Moving over to my clothes then. So I'm obviously we'll be walking for 7 days, but you know, I'm expecting to get wet, and so I'm going to need to be, you know, drying out clothes. I should say that although we're out for 7 days, we're actually going to be camping for 7 days or 6 nights. At least 3 of the nights we'll be staying, hopefully, in bothies on the west coast of Scotland. There are, on the west coast of Jura, I should say. There are 3. Obviously, bothies are first come, first served. So if you turn up and it's already occupied, then all you can really do is sit by the fire during the evening, but then you need to actually sleep in your tent outside. But I'm hoping that we'll be able to actually get to the bothies and have them to ourselves, or at least partly. And so I'm expecting to be able to wash stuff in the river and dry it out along the way. So having said that, the clothes I'll be taking are, I'm only going to be taking a single pair of walking trousers that I haven't actually got here, but you know, fast drying walking trousers. I've got 2 long sleeve athletic shirts, I guess you'd call them. These are both from the brand Dare to Be that I've quite liked lately. They're both long sleeve, they're both very quick drying. I'll be taking 2 spare pairs of underwear, a pair of long legged thermal underwear, basically, which I'll use to sleep in. I won't use those during the day, I hope. Got 4 cotton hankies, because there's nothing worse than your nose running in the cold wind that I'm expecting. And then in terms of socks, I'll be wearing a pair of walking socks. This is another pair of Bridgedale socks I'll be taking. And then for evening wear, I've got these very lightweight sort of, I guess they're boating shoes really, that I bought from Decathlon, and a very thin pair of socks. And so I'm going to be hopefully getting my boots off, because they're going to be soaked, I'm sure, every day, and changing into these when we actually get either to the tent or into the bothy. And I have got a small amount of talcum powder here as well, which I'll be using to dry my feet off in the evening, and make sure that they don't sort of end up rotting during the trip, which I think is going to be a definite risk, considering how wet it's going to be along the way. Moving over to this side of the table, then I've got some sort of additional camping equipment. So I've got some paracord, I've got these 2 wonderful tent pegs that are sort of supplementary to my regular stakes for my tent that I'll show you in a minute. These are super wind resistant, because when you actually put them in the ground and the guy rack goes on here, the stronger that it's pulled, the more it sort of pulls the tent stake into the ground. So these are amazing. I've actually got 4 of these. I'm only going to take 2, because I think you just need them on the wind side, the windward side, as it were. This is a new saw from Davion that I bought, and I've used a little bit in the garden. It seems pretty good. It's slightly heavier than I'd like, but I think I'm going to take it anyway, because I want to be able to break down driftwood for the fire in the bothy, and also potentially to have a campfire when we're wild camping. This is my Sawyer mini water filter, along with a separate Knock 2 litre reservoir that I bought, which allows you to process a bit more water than the silly little reservoir they give you. And I've got these 2 water bottles that fit on the screw thread to the Sawyer Mini, so that's great. So I'll be able to process 2 litres of water quite quickly. I think there's obviously not going to be any shortage of water in Jura in April, or in any time of year for that matter, but yeah, we're never going to be far from a mountain stream, so I'm not going to need to actually carry the water, I don't think, any distance, but you can never be sure about that. Toilet roll and toilet shovel, of course, because we're wild camping for 7 nights. No flush toilets anywhere to be seen. Oh, another pair of socks here as well. These are thermal socks that I'll be using only, hopefully, to sleep in, keep my feet warm at night. Sleeping bag. This is my Thermarest Ohm, rated down to 0 degrees. And as a sort of a bit of an insurance policy, I've also bought this Sea to Summit Thermalite Reactor sleeping bag lining, which apparently gives you another 9 degrees of warmth, if you like. So, the combination of those two should take me down to -9, although it isn't going to be anything like as cold as that. So I think that should keep me nice and snug, hopefully when I'm camping. This is my matches, my stove. I've got three boxes of matches there, all double lined in Ziploc bags, so hopefully there's no chance of them getting wet. A little sponge to do my washing up from my stove. Because I'm not actually cooking anything, this doesn't really actually get dirty as such, because because I'm only rehydrating stuff, nothing's going to stick to it, so it's just very easy just to wipe out with a bit of water. Got a microfiber towel there as well, be useful for mopping up puddles in the tent when it no doubt gets wet. This is some repair tubes for tent poles, very lightweight. I broke one of the poles from my tent. Let me show you that now. This is the Big Agnes Copper Spur Ultralight HD1 one-man tent. Very lightweight, but a bit fragile, as I found out this last weekend. I wasn't really taking enough care putting it up. I broke one of the poles. I've actually now just replaced that with another piece of fiberglass pole yesterday. But I'm now worried that I may suffer further breakages on the trip. So I've got this little packet of 4 pole repair, I guess you'd call them splints. So I think even if I do get my tent blown flat in a gale, I'll still be able to get it up again the next night and still be cracking on in the game. This is a poncho. So I thought long and hard about what waterproofs I need, if any, for the trip. Well, I certainly need waterproofs, but whether I should actually take waterproofs or a poncho. I did buy a Gore-Tex jacket, quite an expensive one actually, and then ended up sending it back because by the time I've watched enough YouTube videos about how Gore-Tex really lets you down in the end anyway, I bought a very inexpensive, quite a large poncho that covers my pack as well as me, and obviously will sweat inside if you're wearing it for any long period of time, but certainly it's going to keep me keep me dry in the rain for as long as it needs to. Here's my first aid kit, quite a comprehensive first aid kit, and I've also got a spare lighter. Sleeping mat, my Thermarest X-Lite large, so it's the wide version, and I've also got a Thermarest pillow in there as well. So that hopefully in combination with the sleeping bag and the liner should mean that I'm not going to get cold. Cracking on then, here is, I've just in this little bag, I've just got some tissues and a mask, because there's still a requirement for masks in Scotland in certain circumstances, and a large ultralight towel, so that'll be my sort of washing towel, if you like. Trekking poles, a newspaper to help light fires in the bothy, and also obviously when we're wild camping. Here's my sort of so I've got some little tea light candles, because obviously in the bothies there's no electricity, so you need some light after dark. I've got 2 battery chargers. This is a 10,000 and a 20,000 milliampere, so I'm not taking any chances with losing power. I want to be using my phone for navigating and obviously for taking lots of photographs and video on the trip, so I want to have the ability to keep the device switched on and fully charged. So yeah, so that's important to me. Obviously, a USB Type-C cable to power the devices. Getting towards the end now. In terms of a toilet kit, I should say, quite minimal really. I've got some wet ones. I've got a very small bottle of shower gel. I can either wash myself or my dishes with that. I've got some earplugs, I should say, not headphones. Earplugs, because if you get a really windy night, then it can be quite disturbing with the wind sort of rattling your tent. Toothbrush and toothpaste and comb and glasses, and that's it basically. So that's my toilet kit. I don't think we're going to be getting too hot and sweaty. I obviously am going to be getting dirty over the course of a week, but I'll do my best to stay relatively clean. Petzl battery operated head torch, new batteries already in it, so that's good. They'll last plenty through the week, I think. Spare pair of bootlaces. This is, I guess you sort of call it protective gear if you like. So I've got my Great Outdoors beanie, taking a cap as well because that's useful to keep the rain out of your face and your eyes on rainy days. These are cycling gloves that I used for the first time this week, and they're not bad because they're quite warm, but they also are thin enough to allow you to still do stuff with them on, so you don't have to constantly be taking them on and off to be able to sort of pitch your tent, for example. And this is just a camouflage buff, just for a few more sort of protective warmth options, maybe while I'm sleeping, I'm not sure. And then the two final items, actually, these are my Gore-Tex gaiters. It's going to be very wet underfoot. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So you're not going to be really keeping yourself dry so much as I think Gore-Tex gaiters do keep your legs nice and warm. Keep the ticks from getting up under your trouser legs. I don't think there should be any ticks at this time of year, but you can never be sure about that. So yeah, just to be on the safe side, I think I'll be wearing gaiters at all times. And then the very last item is this high gear. This is cheap and cheerful. I bought it from Go Outdoors a couple of years ago. Puffer jacket, very lightweight and also very warm. It rolls up to almost nothing, so it goes into a tiny dry bag, and that is a nice sort of warm jacket to put on in the evening or even at night, quite honestly, if it turns really cold. I don't think I'll need to do that, but yeah, I hopefully won't be getting this wet, but I will be using it in the evening sort of situation, sitting around. So yeah, that's the only jacket I'm taking actually, apart from the poncho. That's it. As I say, I'm not professing that this is a great pack loadout or whatever, but I just wanted to document it just so I can see in future years, how badly wrong I got it, basically. Can't wait for the trip. We're heading up 5 AM Friday morning. It's going to take us 10 hours to drive to the place where we get the ferry to Jura. Friday night we're staying in the Jura hotel, which will be fun, almost like a last sort of condemned man's sort of meal and a few beers. Then first thing Saturday morning we're heading off out into the wilds, and we won't be back until the following Friday, where we're also staying back at the Jura hotel for the last night before we drive home Saturday. So can't wait. It's going to be an epic trip, and I will try and document it as best I can along the way to document the triumphs and the tragedies of it all, I expect. So yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you.